Hi, today I'm making hogshead cheese, or sometimes called head cheese or Souse. It's basically meat that's, I don't want to say pickled, but it's meat in a gelatin type dish. And I don't have a hogshead, but what I do have is a pork shoulder that's been cut with the bone still in. I have a ham hock that's been cut and I'm gonna use that also, and I like the skin. And I covered up some stuff to not surprise people, but I'm gonna show it right now. Is I have a hog snout. So there's the nose, and it's just basically the outer skin. So I'm just looking for some collagen and extra flavor in the hogshead cheese. So one of the first things I'm gonna do is boil off the bones to remove any impurities, and this is typically done with pig's feet and anything that has bones in it, especially if you're going to use it for broth. But it's always good to get rid of the, I don't know, I think it's the blood that adds off flavors to uh, foods, and especially when you're not adding a lot of spice. So I'm going to boil everything for about 10 minutes and then wash the bones after that, or wash the stuff after 10 minutes of boiling. All right, everything's been boiling for about 10 minutes. As you notice, the typical when you boil, make broth, you get the scum that floats to the surface. This is usually like protein that's coming out of the bones. So I'm going to pull out all the meats and wash them in the sink and rinse them off really well. All right, I'm going to use the Instapot to cook the meat down. So what's I have for seasonings is a bay leaf, some dried parsley, some thyme, and some black pepper. And for my sort of wet ingredients, I have onion, bell pepper, celery, and garlic. Sort of a Cajun, what's that called? Cajun Trinity. Trinity. And what I'm going to do is put the stuff with skin down first, so they're in the liquid. Collagen needs water to soften and create the gelatin. So here's the pig snout. And also I cut the pig's feet. It was partially cut, so I just went ahead and cut it all completely. Then on top, well, I should add the veggies. Just toss them in. And maybe I could have layered them, but I figured since we're gonna be using the pressure cooker, everything's gonna get cooked together. And then the pork bones or pork goes on top. Then I'll add water to the fill line. I don't know how much that is, I'll figure it out. All right, the crock pot or the instant pot has been in warm mode for about 2 hours. I got busy and kind of let it go. So I'm going to just pull the stuff out and put in the fridge and take care of it tomorrow. So let's see how it looks. It's the button's already dropped, but I'll release the pressure. No pressure. So definitely a lot of liquid. The meat is falling off the bone, look like. So just put it in a pot or a container. I'll transfer it. Hope the snout is very soft. Pork is falling apart. So it's almost like a broth. I'll have to grab a slotted spoon. That might make it easier. Almost like using chopsticks. Definitely with head cheese, you want the meat to still have a little bite instead of very soft and mushy, but we'll see how it turns out. Here's the ham hock or the pork shank. That's also falling off the bone. And I'll strain the broth and reserve it for making the gelatin. Good morning. All right, the meat has been in the fridge overnight, and so is the stock. I'm going to defat it, and it looks like it's gelling, which is what you want, and it's not bad. I might have to add a little more gelatin, but what I'm going to do next is clean the meat off the bones and then chop it up, and then I'm going to boil the broth, add more flavorings, and then combine it and put it into a mold. All right, here's the meat that's been chopped up. This is the meat, and this is sort of the pork snout and skin stuff. So I tried to pull off excess fat and all the pre-cooked vegetables. Roughly 4 cups of chopped meat, and then about 3.5 cups of skin and mystery bits. And what I think I'm gonna do is make 3 flavors. One is just plain vinegared, and for some reason or other, olives sound good, so I'll make another batch and just add olives. And then for the last batch, I'll make it spicy with hot sauce or cayenne pepper. All right, for the stock, it seems to be gelled enough, but I have a packet of gelatin just in case I want to add it. So what I have for the stock, I'm going to bring it back to a boil. I have 2 green onions that I chopped up, a little bit of garlic, some about a half teaspoon of parsley, 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and a little dash of cinnamon and nutmeg to give it some warmth. And after the broth has come to a boil, I'm going to let it reduce just a touch to see if I could thicken up the gel a little more, and then add 2 tablespoons of white vinegar to give it a vinegary taste. All right, the stock has been simmering for 10 minutes, and now I'm going to just strain it out. I notice it has reduced a little bit, and what I'll do is strain out the chunks and reintroduce the meat and bring it back to the boil. Add salt and pepper and vinegar. All right, here's the strained stock. One thing I haven't added to the stock is salt. The meat nor the stock has had salt added, so I added about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and also haven't added the vinegar yet. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of vinegar, see how it tastes, and then add another one as required. So there's the vinegar. Let's give it a quick taste. Could use a little more salt. Oh wow, the red pepper flakes, that quarter teaspoon or whatever I use, actually adds a little bite. And I'll add a little more, so 2.5 tablespoons of vinegar. I'll add a little more salt, and then I'll return the meat and bring it back to a boil and dish it out. Could use a little more salt, and personally I'd like it a little more vinegary. So I'll add another teaspoon of salt and another tablespoon of vinegar. Okay, I'm just bringing the mixture up to a uniform temperature. I really don't need to bring it to boil since everything's cooked. Turn off the heat, and then I just get and let it cool down for about 10-15 minutes, and then scoop into these saran wrap, cling wrap line molds or bowls, and let them set overnight. Alright, this is going to be the spicy one. I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and maybe a few shakes of hot sauce. I would usually use Louisiana hot sauce, but I'm out of that. And also, I'll have to taste as I go to make sure I get the flavor I want. Alright, I'm going to give everything a final mix before I cover with saran wrap. One thing I didn't add was pepper, so I'll just add a little bit right now. I'm not, just a few grinds. And then I'll just mix everything in to make sure everything's kind of evenly distributed. Taste this real quick. Has a little spiciness, but not overpowering. Let's taste the regular. Just taste regular. Could use a little more vinegar, but I'm afraid of adding too much vinegar might inhibit the gelling. And here's the one with the olives. I think the olives are going to add a little extra saltiness. Yep, that's it. So cover with saran wrap and refrigerate overnight. Alright, here's the finished head cheese. This was the regular, this was the one with olives, and this is the spicy one. So I'll unveil them. Alright, here are the final results. Here's the regular one. Here's the one with olives, and this is the spicy one. And I usually like to eat it with mustard, or you could put it on crackers or eat it as is. And you could use any type of pickles if you like. Dill pickles. These are, I think, bread and butter pickles. So I'll give it a shot and see how it tastes. Surprisingly, it tastes pretty good. It tastes like the store-bought type. Very faint vinegary taste. You could taste the pork. One thing I've noticed on some of these is the meat kind of settled. I'm thinking like when you make jello molds, you probably need to let the jello or the stock firm up a little, mix it up, and then pour it into the mold. That way the meat stays in suspension. I'll try the olive one. It's good. Just tastes like olives. Pork and olives. This is the spicy one. I was hoping to be a lot more redder in color from the cayenne pepper. Let me try it. Has a very faint spiciness to it, but not bad. Again, the meat settled to the bottom. I should have stirred it, so next time as the broth or the jello solution cools, stir it up to keep the floaty bits in suspension. So overall, it worked out pretty good.